I'm going to talk to you a little bit about athletic knee injury and prevention. The three main knee injury and preventions are chondromalacy, patellofemoral syndrome, and ACL tears. So we have three goals in this lecture. The first goal is obviously to comprehend anatomical and physiological differences of the knee so that you understand where everything is located in the knee so things don't confuse you. Our second goal is to compare and contrast the ACL, the patellofemoral syndrome, and the chondromalacy so that you are capable of understanding the differences between these three knee injuries. Our third and final goal is going to incorporate the first two goals. If you don't understand the first two goals, then you won't be able to design and recommend knee strengthening exercises for people that are currently injured or to prevent them from getting further injuries. So our next two to four slides are going to be on the anatomy of the knee and the anatomy and physiology of the knee. This first slide it talks about the knee and how the femur and the tibia are the main two bones that are connected in the knee. Your femur is your thigh bone and your tibia is your shin bone. Then you have your fibula and your patella. Your fibula is connected to your tibia on the left side or the outside of your knee. And the patella is your kneecap, which is located directly on top of your knee. Then you have your tendons and your ligaments, which are all these white lines around here, this picture, that help connect the knee and keep it stable. Then you have these basic understanding. So your patella is right on top of your knee. Your patella tendon is the white tendon that goes directly across the top of your patella. Then your ACL and PCL. Your ACL, which is anterior, which is in the front of your knee, then your posterior, which is in the back of your knee. But it is located underneath the patella, between the femur and the tibia. Then you have your medial and lateral meniscus. Your meniscus is a soft cushion that helps protect your femur and tibia from rubbing together, and if you look closely, there's an arrow going, it's right between, it's a small little pillow that is very soft with cartilage. Then you have your physiology. So the patella is a small bone located right on top of your knee that protects the knee attachments from getting further injured. Then you have your patellar tendon, which goes directly over the top of the knee, which helps the patella stay in place from not being able to shift around and not do things. Then you have your ACL and your PCL, which are on the outsides of your knee, which help keep your knee in place. Then you have your MCL and your ACL, which are also located on the outside, but this is the meniscus which keeps cushion from your knees rubbing together or grinding together. So now we go into our second goal. What is patellofemoral syndrome, chondromalacy, and ACL tears? We're going to start off with patella syndrome. So the definition is the wearing down and roughening of the softening of the cartilage underneath the knee. To identify this, there is a lot of sharp pain, knee buckling, and grinding or popping sensations. But if you look at this last brief statement, it says during physical activity. That's the key point for patellofemoral syndrome, during physical activity. The causes of this is obviously the movement of the patella from its original position. If it's moving around, you're not able to get full protection from your kneecap, which can cause all of this. Then you go into chondromalacy, which is very similar to patellofemoral syndrome, but you have to look at the small differences. So the definition of this is the cartilage softening and deterioration of the patellar cartilage and the improper knee alignment. So like the one before, you're very different on your kneecap is shifting around way too much. Then the way to identify this is same as patellofemoral syndrome, but it is when you are just standing or sitting. So if you have knee pain or knee popping or grinding, and it's during your time of sitting or rest, then you would relate this back to chondromalacy. The causes of this is, the key is weak quadriceps or weak hamstrings in the leg, which are your muscles. Then you go into your ACL tears, which is different than chondromalacy and patellofemoral syndrome, but this is tearing of your ligaments. So the way to identify this is usually popping sounds, swelling, very increased pain, and the inability to continue to walk, or if you're playing a game during a sport, your inability to further do anything with your leg. The causes of this is usually when you step and you twist an awkward position, you suddenly stop while you're running, or you jump and land with your knees straight instead of bent. So there are 6 very, very high risk sports, which are soccer, gymnastics, cross country, basketball, track and field, and field hockey. These were the 6 main ones that we found that are relate back to patellofemoral syndrome, chondromalacy, and ACL tears. So now that we go into our third and final goal, we want to know the effects of this. The wearing down of the knee, it relates back to patellofemoral syndrome, the complications of everyday activity, and walking pain. The effects of chondromalacy is when your kneecap starts to deteriorate, or the cushion behind your kneecap starts to deteriorate, so that you're not able to do everyday activities. The effects of ACL tear is that it can relate to osteoarthritis, knee bruising, or further damage to the surrounding muscles or tendons that are in there. So, for this third goal, you need to properly protect your knee or recover from this injury. You relate back to RICE, which is rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And these 4 aspects will help prevent from further injury at the time, and then you go into your other exercises. So, you always want to keep strong quadriceps, strong hamstrings, and hip and abductors. Those 3 main muscle groups will help your knee be protected further in any injury. Then you go into your quads. So there's quad stretching or quadricep stretching. One is you lay on your back with your elbows, your lower body flat on the floor, and you're propped up on your arms. If you don't need your arms, you can lay them across your stomach, but this can be hard. And you do one leg lift off the ground straight for 15 seconds, and then you switch. You repeat that for 5 to 10 times each leg, and with that, you are now strengthening your quads. You go into your hamstrings. So this, another word for this would be hip raises, where you're laying on your back with your knees bent on the ground, feet are flat, and you raise up your hips, and you hold that for 10 to 20 seconds, and you go back down, and that is helps your hamstrings. Then you go into your hips. So one way you can do this is sitting in a chair, and you just squat down, up and down on the chair, ever so slightly, if it's too easy, you put a ball between your knees and you squeeze that while you're raising up and down off the chair. And the last final thing, once you've increased your muscles in your legs, you want to go into circuits. And circuits require flexibility, strength, and fitness. On each one of those components, there is something different that can increase your availability.